Greetings, my name is Slight, and welcome. This is a patch note analysis for the Gunfire Reborn patch notes that was released on April 28th, 2022. A pretty good, sizable patch note here with some meaningful changes, some substantive changes, and I will let you know whether or not I think these are good changes as we look at them. One of the things we did get information about is that the DLC is currently under development. The content will include a new hero, new weapons, and so on. And they're planning to release it in the third quarter of this year, right? And so third quarter to me, sounds like July, August, September range. So not too far away, to be honest. Looking forward to that. That sounds great. First change is explosive bullets and enhanced explosive bullets both got a change. Now, I do have a question here. I might need to pause for a second. Explosive bullets used to give a 20% chance to cause an additional explosion, which would deal 100% base weapon damage. Now, non-elemental weapons will cause an additional explosion, dealing 100% base weapon damage with a cooldown of 2 seconds. This is essentially a boost for its effectiveness on low fire weapons, so snipers and heavy weapons will do a lot better with this particular scroll. Even something like a pistol actually will do better with this scroll because you're going to get more triggers per shot than many more than you would normally. So that is, I think, a change in the right direction, and I'm looking forward to trying it. I'm not sure if it's going to be good or not, but it does seem like it's in the right direction. Reincarnation, so these are enhanced scrolls. Enhanced Magic Watch got buffed. It's slightly better. The enhanced explosive bullets. This seems to be incorrect. This is the exact same information as what is here. No, it's not. So enhanced explosive bullets will cause any weapon to explode, not just non-elemental weapons. So, is that good? That's fine. It's unclear whether or not this is very powerful in its current form. Spiritual Blessings did get an update, and Spiritual Blessings were a big focus for my Slight's Imaginary patch notes. Let's see what the developers decided to do with some of these Spiritual Blessings. Many of these are on the weaker side of the Spiritual Blessing categories. Eye of Providence. It used to just show you where vaults and peculiar chests were, and in my imaginary patch notes, it also was going to increase your essence gained so that you could use it while you were farming essence before you had maxed out your reincarnation. Like before you had sort of gotten to the highest levels of reincarnation and essence isn't a problem anymore, before you'd maxed out your talent tree. The new one, vaults and peculiar chests are visible in the minimap, and you will be able to acquire 1 extra peculiar chest every act. So that sounds like 4 extra peculiar chests. My assumption is that they're in a standard area. If you have this, like maybe at the very end, like before you go to the boss, or maybe at the boss or something like that. I'm not sure. Is that very strong? It's hard to know. It's hard to know if that is very strong. Another consideration is, does it stack? If you play this in multiplayer and 2 people get it, does everyone now get 2 peculiar chests? And that's interesting to think about. Fake Death. This is a much better change. This is probably one of my favorite changes in the patch. The old just granted you another life. It was incredibly powerful and probably one of the better ascensions, even though it was like sleeper OP. If you were looking to succeed in a solo run, having 1 more life is very, very strong. The new one says, instead of falling immediately upon taking lethal damage, you can enter a state of fake death for 10 seconds, and you won't fall during the state. Killing an enemy will end the state early. Now, when I first read that, I thought, wow, why would I want to end the state early? That's interesting. It's like making it worse. It has a 2-minute cooldown. That's not correct. What is actually happening here is more of like a fight for your life. You have to kill an enemy in 10 seconds or you die. And by ending the state, if the state expires after 10 seconds, it kills you. So you have sort of like immortality, the enhancement immortal. And or kind of like lifesavers, more like. I don't think it heals you though when you kill something. So I could be wrong about that. I don't know about the healing, but you do. This is meant the way this is described is not very accurate to what it actually is doing. It's fight for your life. You have to kill something, and if you kill something in those 10 seconds, boom, you don't die. Steady profit. Old, upon gaining or consuming soul essence, obtain double the amount as copper. New, you can now purchase 2 enhanced scrolls from the Phantom Peddler. And so one of those enhanced scrolls will replace a weapon that would be offered. So you're only getting offered 4 things still. So really this is, you can now purchase 1 less weapon and 2 enhanced scrolls from the Phantom Peddler. That is obviously much better and on par with the enhanced scroll one. Whatever that one is. The 20% chance to find an enhanced scroll. So much better. Is this my favorite? You know, not really. Enhanced scrolls, most of them sort of make the game trivial. A lot of them, you know, you're basically getting an extra chance at not being able to play because you're so powerful. So there are too many enhanced scrolls just make you very strong as opposed to providing unique ways to build your character. So is this a direction that I think is very good? Not really. I don't think that this is very good. In fact, I would have preferred the old Steady Profit, which might blow your mind, but only for the reason that your average scroll or your average blessing offered would have been worse. And that would have been at least more interesting for replayability. Painkiller, which I already thought was very good. The reason I thought Painkiller was very good was not because of its average use, but if you pick it, especially as a starting blessing, and then play around it, there are a couple situations where you became extremely powerful. And most of those were like Fire Enthusiast, Corrosion Enthusiast, really made you absolutely absurd. And those are normal scrolls, so they're relatively common to come by. Those are very strong. Now I'd be interested to see how this new one works. I hope it's not too overtuned. But the new one is obtained a random elemental effect upon taking damage. Obtain a random elemental effect upon taking damage, and convert all negative effects applied to the hero to a bonus with the opposite effect. So this is all what was previously happening, but now every time you take damage, you get a random buff. Basically, it's either going to be extra damage from a shock buff. It's either going to be a slight heal from fire buff, or it's going to be a speed up from a corrosion buff or decay buff. Excuse me. And that sounds incredibly powerful. So, seems very good. Royal Guard. Old guarantees an elite monster at the end of the pre-boss area. New guarantees elite monster. No, the "and" has been removed at the end of a previous, and the grammar is slightly worse. Note, the new effect may cause a large number of elite monsters to appear in the desert, Duofjord, and Hyperborean Jokul. I don't think I say that word very often. So basically what this means is, whoops, sorry about that. Basically what that means is Royal Guard got buffed, and now there are higher chances to see multiple enemies, multiple elite enemies, as opposed to just a single elite enemy at the end of a boss. And that's pretty cool. Overconsumption got buffed. Buffed, it depends on how you used it in the past. I thought overconsumption was extremely strong. It's kind of like one of my favorite go-to interesting build starters. Overconsumption was unique in that it sort of trivialized the very beginning of the game, which tends to be the hardest part of the game. And so it puts you in a unique position. And now it seems like you're getting less of a benefit right at the start. The benefit is, instead of it just being damage, it's cooldown, movement speed, health, and it seems to last longer. So you have to get a large amount of scrolls for this to actually fall off of you. The new effect is plus 150% weapon and skill damage, minus 30% cooldown. That will apply to your primary skill and your dash. 30% move speed, which is insane. 30% max HP and max shield armor, so a total of plus 60 HP which is insane. For every occult scroll you carry, you reduce the total benefits of all the things by 3.33%. So if you have 10 scrolls, you're getting 66% of the total benefit of this. At 20 scrolls, you're getting 33, and at 30 scrolls, you're getting no benefit from this overconsumption. And that seems fine. I'm okay with that. Thorny Bloom. Now, that's probably loud, but we're talking about Thorny Bloom. I had a drink. That'll put hair on your chest. Kirkland Signature Sparkling Water Grapefruit. Calorie free, sodium free, sweetener free. I'll keep reading it. You don't think I will? Okay, this used to be terrible. Almost fun. It was actually kind of fun in the Bladed Bloom Mastery build. Now it sounds like it's going to be really busted. All right. For every Fatal Bloom that you gain, okay, so that means any charge gained. So if you're at 8 charges of Fatal Bloom, you can't gain any more. So you'd have to use a charge to gain a charge. Okay, so anytime that you gain Fatal Bloom, meaning from pots, meaning from buying it from a peddler, meaning I think there's a Longer Lasting Bloom is one of her talents where you hit 5 targets and it gives you a Fatal Bloom. Any way you gain it, you gain 40% Fatal Bloom base damage for 10 seconds. Base damage is multiplicative damage increase, but it is additive with the Glowing Bloom Ascension. That's the one that increases Fatal Bloom by 100, 200, 300, and at max level reduces the number of hits to trigger Fatal Bloom. So it's actually, so once you have, if you have this blessing, Glowing Bloom is actually bad, which is, I would much prefer that than us get a new Thunder and Glory. The biggest problem with Thunder and Glory was that the Thunder and Glory damage increase was multiplicative with Fulminous Zap, which is why it does insane damage. Those two being multiplicative is absolutely bonkers. So we're not in that area. They've learned, which is good. 40 up to 30 stacks, and it says it lasts 10 seconds here, but it actually lasts 30 seconds. So it's much easier to keep up than this says. This is some kind of mistake. Maybe it's a previous version. Deal 1 more skill damage to the enemy when Mark of Fatal Bloom vanishes. Now, that's interesting. Previously, the way that Thorny Bloom worked was you would cast Blade of Bloom, and not Blade of Bloom, excuse me, Fatal Bloom. You would hit him, say, 24 times, okay? 24 times will trigger 2 more Fatal Blooms. Then, once Thorny Bloom fell off, they would take 2 more Fatal Blooms worth of damage. Okay? So, that makes sense. But, interestingly enough, Thorny Bloom also applied those 2 instances of Thorny Bloom damage on reapplication of Fatal Bloom. So, if you Thorny Bloom someone, shot him 24 times, that's 1 Fatal Bloom hit, the initial one, then 2 extra triggers, that's 3 hits total, and then upon casting it again, you would get 2 extra triggers from the previous Fatal Bloom and the new one. All right, which is like kind of like 3 hits in a row, or not in a row, but almost simultaneously, right? So the question that I have, and we'll take some, I'll probably play this today, is whether or not that's still the case. If that's still the case, it very well may be the case that this is completely busted. I have a strong sense that it will be. Absolutely and totally busted. What do I think about that? From these changes, I see one change that I like. And I'm okay with overconsumption. I'm okay with Eye of Providence. That's fine. Royal Guard. The big problem with Royal Guard is that it's going to make field proficiency incredible in multiplayer. Field proficiency gives you lucky shot and cooldown reduction for each elite that you kill. And so now you've got like sort of a blessing synergy there, and like you could already get like absolutely crazy combos in multiplayer. So, is this great? I'm not sure. Don't feel good about it. So overall, I feel pretty meh about those changes. I'm not feeling like those are in the right direction. Overall, I do like just straight up like the fake death change. I think it is definitely more powerful, I think, than the previous one, but this is more interesting and more fun. I think the cooldown could be increased to make it more balanced and a little bit more interactive, but very happy with that. Can't wait to try it. Got one. Hero changes. What is the best hero in the game? What is undoubtedly, by far, the best hero in the game? Crown Prince. We're not gonna see Crown Prince buffs in this. No. Why would we? Ascension adjustments. Crown Prince. Acidic explosion. Explosion radius increased from 5 meters to 7 meters. Now, what I will say is that I do like that change. Does Crown Prince need any changes? Absolutely not. Does he need buffs? No, not at all. He's by far the best character in the game. Yeah, by far, I would say. But this does make this build more viable in a way that doesn't make it overpowered. So I might be playing some grenade build. That sounds great. Again, not too upset with this change either, actually. Energy Bolt change. All right, so these are buffs that are buffering the cat's weakest parts of his kit, okay? Which is great for replayability because it means that we have more options. Love to see that. This is the type of stuff that I'd love to see. Energy Bolt, the chance of multiple explosion increases. The level 1 has... let me pause real quick. Okay, I had to pull this up from the Discord. Altana, wrote this out. So this is Energy Bolt level 1 from a 30% to a 50% chance for 2-time explosions. That is a 1.3 to 1.5 times damage. So that is 0.2 damage increase. Level 2, we've got the 30 to 50 for a 2 times explosion and a 10 to 20 for 3 times explosion. And that takes the damage up by 0.4. So from 1.5 times damage to 1.9 times damage. And then at level 3, we go for 30 to 50 for 2 times, 20 to 35 for 3 times, and 10 to 15 for 4 times, which is, instead of doubling its damage, it now goes to times 0.265. So I would say that is a substantial increase, and important to notice is that it gets better. The increase is stronger as you go up. So before it was 1.3 to 1.5 to 2, so that was a 0.3 increase to a 0.2 increase to a 0.5 increase. That doesn't make much sense. That's weird. Now it is a 0.5 increase, and then a 0.4 increase from level 1, and then a 0.75 increase from level 2 to level 3. Hopefully what I just said made sense. Makes sense to me. All right. Let me know if it doesn't. I'll help you out. I'm not, just to be clear, I don't say things perfectly all the time, or even often. All right, Jin Young, the bird, no retreat, grants additional immune to slow effects. No retreat, which one is that? Oh, this is a typo. It's not no retreat. No retreat's a scroll. It's last stand, the thing that triggers when your shield breaks. So now it grants you immunity to slows. That's great. Love to see that. I think last stand is an underrated pick. I think it's good in almost every build. Monsters. Now this is pretty cool. We've got 2 new enhanced monster affixes. I'm going to do armored first. Armored converts all of a monster's HP to either shield or armor. So it's kind of like paranormality for an enemy. So once their shield is all the way down, one little hit and they're dead. Okay. This does seem to have some interesting interactions with the rogue arsonists and their explosive barrel, which the explosive barrel may be a proportional amount of HP to their actual HP. So when their HP gets reduced to like 1, the armor might the barrel just might insta-kill them if you hit it. So just something to look out for. That might get patched. Credit to Altan in the Discord for pointing that out. Bleed effect is a little bit more interesting. What this does is it can apply 5 stacks to you as a player. Each stack is 10% of the damage that you took. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Oh yeah, okay, it is scary. Okay, yeah. All right, where am I? So it does 10% of the damage you took over 5 seconds, and it can stack. I think it can stack up to 5 times. Maybe it can stack indefinitely. That's a good question. And I didn't see that when I checked my previous conversation. So if you take 50 damage, you're going to take 5 damage once per second for 5 seconds. All right, and that may or may not stop your shield recharge. We're not entirely sure yet, and I haven't got a chance to play with it. It does seem powerful, and it's like burning, sort of, but maybe just slightly different. The fact that it can stack makes it stronger than burning. All right, optimize the tracking of projectile of longbowmen and bandit retainers. Now the turning speed of their projectile will be lowered when they are close to players. Now the pronoun here is not clear. They say when they are close to players. That could be relating to the actual enemy itself, when the bandit retainer or the longbowman is close to you, or when the projectile is close to you. Now, I have noticed some weird stuff when I've been like very close to a longbowman or bandit retainer. Not very close, but like in this sort of like within like 3 or 4 meters, and like getting hit by stuff that doesn't quite make sense. So it could be that is what is getting changed, and this isn't going to be any easier for long range shots. So we'll have to see what this feels like when we actually get to play with it. Next up is the elite monster got buffed and changed a little bit. When it's entering the battlefield, it will bombard players who entered the battle scene randomly within a certain range. So what this sounds like to me is that like it'll kind of come out of the gate shooting. So like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting. The next time I see the elite lobster, I expect it to sort of jump out shooting like crazy, which sounds great. Love that change. There's some new routes in Act 4, the act I tend not to play very much. I've already won. At this point in the game, I am like never excited to play Act 4. I would like to play the bear, but I just have to like slog through Act 4 to get to him. And like my build doesn't get much better. The enemies are not like fun to kill. Many of them are like hard to kill. Some of them are hard to kill. A lot of them are hard to kill. Like there's this idea of like releasing pressure at the end game, and then we have monkeys that jump around and are hard to hit. We've got teleporting snipers, and like enemies that throw like weird whoopee cushions at you from far away and run away from you. It's like, and UFOs, which can be very annoying to kill with certain builds. Like the stage 4 should be renamed. It's not anti-meta. It's not reducing pressure. It's like annoy you. That's a harsh criticism, but I also think it is relatively accurate. New inscriptions. I'm excited for these. All of these, I think. Rainbow Arc, exclusive. Weapon skill consumes all magazine ammo and deals higher damage. That sounds so cool. Can't wait to try that. Dragon Chaser can launch 3 marks and shots home in on the marks in sequence. So what this does is you can launch 3 separate marks at 3 separate times, and your shots will sort of pierce and then hit the next mark and then hit the next mark. And my assumption is that this looks absolutely wild. Looking forward to try that. Icy Spear, exclusive. Increase total AoE over time. This is not correct. Altana already tested this. This increases the total damage over time. It does not increase the AoE. I would actually much more bit interested in just an AoE increase because like it's really hard to take advantage of the damage of these little AoE doohickeys. So, it's not great. I'm okay with that. Deafening Mortar. Weapon skill consumes all magazine ammo and fires mortar shells. Look, we got to try it. We got to do it. A Gemini with magazine capacity share, put 100 shots into that deafening mortar and shoot it. And we got to see what happens. I mean, will we one-shot the final boss? We might. We might not. We're going to try. UI changes. There were some small issues here. No bug fixes that are worth mentioning. I already looked through these. Yep. So that covers it. I'm just going to speak for a second about the general direction of the game. One of the criticisms that I have of Gunfire Reborn right now is that they've sort of got they're garnering a dedicated fan base because people love their game, but as time goes on, there is less and less to explore, and a lot of balance issues are continually not addressed, and it's easy to dismiss those as something that doesn't matter and that the game doesn't need balancing. And while I think in some ways that I agree that it doesn't need to be perfectly balanced, but currently there are some egregious balance issues that either trivialize the game and reduce development, like they constrain development options, so much so that like a lot of builds like don't work in the higher reincarnation runs, and they could work with slight changes, without huge changes. That kind of stuff could be fixed. So overall, I don't feel excited. Like I want to play this game and be challenged, and I want to relive the experience of when I first played it. When you start the game, it is incredibly difficult, and that's what hooks people. And I don't know how the developers have lost sight of that. But we keep getting like the game gets easier and easier and easier as time goes on, and never gets harder. There are never more options to challenge oneself. And hearing now that the DLC will be heroes and weapons and so on, further emphasizes that it seems to indicate that the current balance issues aren't on their radar, and that like a heat system isn't in the works, or extra challenge modes. So overall, I feel like fine about this patch. I think it provides some stuff that's interesting, but there are core issues with the game that are not being addressed that would fix the game and open up a lot more possibilities for replayability that are still not being fixed. And that's sad, that's sad to see. And I don't want to act like I have all the answers, I don't. But I do know what it feels like to play Gunfire Reborn, and I know what it felt like, and it doesn't feel like it felt like. Anyway, that'll do it for me. Hopefully this was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.